Let us get right into it. We are talking about basic stuff when it comes to augmenting and fixing or adding special abilities over here on PSO2 New Genesis. If you want to see a certain point, look in the description for the time skip. It is very simple compared to that of base PSO2. I will have a separate video going into my thoughts and opinion about it. But for now, let us talk about this system. Once again, look in the description for the time skips. To do this process, to find this location, to find the item lab, all you need to do is see that name, or pretty much if you're in the shop area or in the city, pretty much go over here in the middle, go to the right side, you will see this NPC over here. You will talk to her, and when it comes to this particular function, we are dealing with the third option, add additional special abilities. Now, I am going to be bringing up limit break and enhanced item because there's a particular function that's going to kick in when it comes to getting more slots. I'll explain that a bit later. But when it comes to getting more slots, you will need to most likely limit break, and then you would also need to enhance some of the items. I'll have separate videos talking about enhancing and limit break later or in due time. In terms of abilities you can go for, I have a separate video covering that already. Look in the upper right hand corner or in the description. But when it comes to figuring out how many slots you have, what you can do to increase these slots, the actual abilities that might be already on the weapon or unit, you can view this through the item lab when you toy around with the certain equipment, or you can open up your inventory and stare at this. To read this from your inventory, pretty much it's straightforward. You need to find this certain icon over here, the square with the diamond in the middle with green, blue, and white. There's a fraction beside it indicating how many special abilities are on there. 0 out of 2 represents there are 0 abilities on this weapon or unit, and it can hold up to 2 abilities. If you go to the silver prim sword, you can see it's 1 out of 2. There's an ability built in to this sword, or it drops with this sword called Asperio 1. It takes up 1 of the free slots, or 1 of the 2 available space to put a said ability. Now you can overwrite this later, but it will depend on what you would want to get specifically. So it is 1 out of 2. Most weapons in the game, most weapons and units currently as of this recording and in the game are with 2 slots, meaning that it has 2 open space. In terms of what ability might be in there, it will vary, it will depend, it might change eventually, especially with future updates, but currently right now it's only 2 slots. The way to get more slots, or to increase it to a 3 slot, 4 slot, and then slowly push it to an 8 slot, is enhancing the certain equipment piece. I have a demonstration of that on the screen right now, and when you enhance some stuff, it will show a message when it comes to you hitting that certain threshold and increasing the slots. That means if you have more slots, that means you can get more abilities. More abilities equals more stats. When it comes to doing the process, you will need capsules. Let's say you don't have any capsules on your person. You try to add additional special abilities. You go over here to the sword. You will see you have nothing. Despite you having some items that have some abilities on them, it does not play the same factors that it does in base PSO2. This is completely different. You will need capsules. One way to get capsules is to kill mobs, bosses. This is going to be RNG based, but as you can see, when I go and kill some level 1 mobs outside of the city, I am getting these capsules. These capsules once again will vary in grade. It is RNG. Some of them can be good and bad. Either way, you are getting these mats that you need to do this special ability process. In terms of some other things to know, it will be having other materials, and I'll mention them after I get through this point in terms of how to get the capsules. When it comes to getting more capsules or getting the higher grades for them, you would need to go to the item lab, you talk to her, go to the last option, which is exchange of special ability capsules. Depending on what grades you have, you may want to upgrade them. So if I have a bunch of stamina 1s, maybe I want to try to go for 2 or 3. There is a way to convert them, and it's through these means. As you can see, for me to get a stamina 2, I would need to trade these items. It's down below the item details. You might want to make note of the product information because there is a limit. There might be limits for certain ability conversions later, but for now, there's nothing in there, meaning that you can do this in X amount of time, depending on your resources. So what I would need to do reading this is that I would need to have 10 stamina 1 capsules. I would need to have 5 photon quartz and then 5 monomite. Now it's not registering because most of my mats are in my material storage. I would need to physically have these items on me so I can do that conversion. I don't know if SEGA will actually make it easier and fix that and allow stuff to be converted because you have the material storage like that of base PSO2. But until then, this is a way to get more capsules, or at least the higher grades versions of certain special abilities. You can also buy capsules from the My Shop. You go to My Shop, go to item search. You can go over here, go down to consumables, go over here, swap to ability capsules. You can search by price, search in the specific name, search in the specific ability you want, and you can see you can buy these capsules. Before we go into details about the finer points of adding special abilities and all that, when it comes to the exchange, to get the other materials you need, you will need to find them out in the wilderness, out and about, out of the city, or you can do the item lab exchange. You can find that in the shop area. Just look at the NPCs. It's going to be easy to find them. Once you talk to them, you want to talk to them, see if you can convert some of the new grinders that you have, especially if you got a surplus for them, for these materials. It is a weekly thing, so you can only get an X amount of materials per week. And then when the reset kicks in, guess what? You can do it all over again. So you might want to stockpile on a bunch of new grinders. Once you have the capsules, go to her again, go to the third option, select the piece of equipment you want to work with. We get to select this sword, and as you can see on my person, I have no capsules, but if I go to material storage where most of my capsules are located at, I will be able to select from this. Now, here's the thing. The capsules will not exceed past the slot. So if I were trying to push and select a bunch of abilities that I could try to go for, it's not going to register. It's not going to allow you to do that. So you have to choose the 2 abilities you would want to go for. So in this demonstration, let's say I want a Spirit of 1 and a Stamina 1. Technically, when it comes to pushing to the highest grade, you can use up to 10 capsules. So let's say I want to do something like this. I want to get Stamina 1 and Spirit of 1. So when you push for a higher percent, you can see that I can increase this number. You can see that it went from a 10% over here to a 20 when I did this. In terms of reading this before I go any further with the example and pushing this to 100, here's your item detail. Here are the available abilities that you are going to be trying to push, trying to go for. And then here's the purchase item telling you what it will cost you. And then these are the things that you're trying to do. And you will be using up the capsules, and you can see the various percentages. So, going back on topic though, let's say I want to try to push this to 100. I can't, because I have like 81 of these Stamina 1s. As you can see, I can push it quite far until it gets to 10. When it gets to 10, it will be able to get to 100%. Now I can do the same with this thing over here, and I can push it to 100%. Right now, I am using 20 capsules to make sure that I can get this Augment Affix ability to work. Now, is everything going to be at 100%? That will vary, because if I go to a different example, let's say I use a certain soul, like a dual soul 2. If I do something like this, it will allow these 10 capsules to work. I can push this to 10 capsules. I have like 174 of these. But as you can see, I cannot increase it past the 10 marker. So right now, the percent over here is stuck at 80%. Let's say I want to go for these abilities. What I want to do is make sure I hit the left button, not the right one, because that will return. I want to hit the left button. When I do this, it will take me to a different screen. Once again, it will show how much it will cost. It will also show the amount of slots that I have available and what abilities I can choose from. So if I have something like this, I can select these 2 abilities over here. Those are the only 2 abilities. I cannot push it any further because I have no other abilities. And not only that, I cannot use all these other slots. And as you can see, the Meseta cost is going to be at 3,000. And it's going to take away and do the math for you. And it will show you that you have 232,337 Meseta remaining. If I'm okay with this, I can hit this left button again, and this is going to be the final screen. But before you hit yes and try to do it, these 2 items here are support items. I'll have a separate video going into how you can acquire these. As of this moment, when it comes to the best way to acquire some ability success items is through that item trader that I mentioned earlier with the materials, the rock materials, the mono and the dual and the tris. You can get 10% by trading in the gold primo swords. But you can use these to your advantage, because if you have one of these, guess what? If there's a certain percent that's not at 100%, look at the PSO2 for example, you can see that it's at an 80%. If I use a 20%, that increases it to 100%. Now I'm not going to go through with this, but pretty much once you are okay with this, you can hit the left button, the yes button, and it will try to finalize it. Note that it will consume your meseta and it will consume the capsules you are using. So right now I am using 20 capsules to do this process. If this succeeds or fails, it doesn't matter. You are burning your meseta and these capsules. Other than that, it doesn't seem like you're using any other material. Well, scratch that. Forgot to mention the support items. If you do use a support item, it is lost as well. So if you decide to use a 20%, it's gone. So make sure to use your support items wisely. What will happen if you already have a certain ability on a weapon and unit, you want to override it or keep it? Well, if we go over here to the add additional special abilities and we work with a silver preem sword, which already has an ability, which is the burial 1. When you click on it, once again, it will check if you have any capsules on your person. What I would need to do, go to material storage, and then I can select the abilities. For this example, let us say we want to go for Spirit 1 and Stamina 1. So when I select these, you can see that I'm going to use 10 capsules to try to get it to 100%. When I look down here, instead of having 2 abilities, you see there are 3 abilities. You can see that there's the meseta cost, and once everything is good, I'm going to hit decide. When you go to the selection, you will see that you can easily choose the ability that was already in the sword, which is Asperio 1. So I can select Asperio 1 and then Asperio 1, or Asperio 1, Stamina 1. Or if I want to, I can choose Stamina 1 and Spirit 1. The reason why I bring this particular function and point up is because I also experiment with a different recording where I decide to make certain abilities at certain percents and see if that certain percent carried over to your actual transfer. Here's the big thing when it comes to this particular function. You'll see a bit of what I'm talking about on the screen. When it comes to this function, as of this moment and as of this recording, they might change this later, but right now, when it comes to you toying around with abilities that are already on your weapons and units, they are transferable at 100%. So that means you can put new abilities onto a piece without having to risk or lose that past ability. It is present unless you purposely decide to delete it. On my person, I do have a 3-slot sword. This has been upgraded. I did enhance it. If you want to see the original video or just me toying around with this particular weapon, you can find it in the upper right hand corner or in the description. It is my first time reaction experimentation with this new Genesis Augment Affix Ability System. So watch that. It kind of covers some of the points I already mentioned, but here's the thing when it comes to upslotting. Upslotting, once again, allows you to get more slots, meaning that you can get more abilities, meaning that you have more stats. Now, the rule of upslotting is easier compared to that of base PSO2. All you need to do to upslot it to unlock more slots is to enhance it. You would also need to limit break it. If I were to plus 20 something, it will most likely be able to unlock a 3rd slot. However, if I were trying to push it to a 4th slot, I need to do something. I would either need to go to plus 40 to get the 2nd slot, or I would need to hit a number between plus 30 and 40. If you want to correct me and point at the precise thing that happens, like if you do hit plus 40, it will give you the 4th slot, or if it's at plus 35, so on and so forth, you can put it in the comments. But the thing is, you will need to limit break it and enhance it. That's the main way to get more slots. Now, in terms of how you can push it to an 8th slot, still work in development, but from what I gathered and what I heard from other people, depending on what the slot is originally, so as you can see, this 3-star sword weapon is a 0 out of 2. So if I were to fully work on this weapon, it will most likely be at a max of 4 slots, because 20 is when it's definitely going to unlock one of these slots. Most likely, if it follows that same increment in rule, plus 40 is going to be where it will unlock the 4th slot. Now, when it comes to most weapons and units, they are stuck at plus 40. So, in the future, there might be certain weapons with more slots, like a 3 slot, 4 slot. And if it follows that same rule with the enhancement and limit breaking, it will most likely be able to push to 6 slot and so forth. So if it was a 3 slot, there's a chance that you can increase it so it can have 5 slots. If it was originally a 4 slot, it will most likely have a chance to push to a 6 slot, and once again, so on and so forth. But once again, they still need to flesh it out. That rule might change, we shall see. But that is pretty much it when it comes to this term upslotting. It is a lot easier compared to that of base PSO2. That's it. That's it for this video. I think I covered most of the key aspects. If I missed something, you could most likely say something in the comments. If you have any question, comment, concerns, put it down there. You might be saying, Morph, what's your opinion about this? I will most likely make a separate video for that. In all honesty, this is very simple. It's dumbed down. It's not hard. So if you have any questions, let me know. I don't think I will make any more videos about this because the system is really easy. It is easier than that of base PSO2. So until something complicated pops up, I don't think I'll be doing as many videos for augment affixing, but we shall see. Anyways, that is it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.